Headshot or portrait? What's the difference? Is there a difference? Thanks for stopping by. I'm Scott Lawrence, professional headshot photographer based here in Detroit, and I've worked with countless professionals just like you. Check out my work at scottlawrencephoto.com. For the best headshot tips, please subscribe and ring that bell so you'll be notified when new videos are released. The terms are often used interchangeably, but there are some subtle differences to understand. A little background will also help you better communicate with your photographer once you're in the session. So let's start with the definitions. A headshot is a tightly cropped photo of the face, generally from the shoulders up. The subject is camera aware, meaning they know they're getting their photo taken, and the subject is also looking right in the camera for maximum connection with the viewer. A portrait, on the other hand, is a little bit broader term. All headshots are portraits, but I wouldn't call all portraits headshots. The subject is typically camera aware, but they may or may not be looking at the camera. The rules are pretty subjective from there, but we'll talk about some of the basics. Lighting. Headshots are usually more evenly lit because the use is more commercial. You're marketing yourself as a person, not as an actor or model trying to sell clothing or jewelry or anything else for that matter. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of an edge light around the side or actually over here, like you can see. But it doesn't usually get much fancier than that, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be. It's very objective lighting. You're just trying to light the face well, and that's really all there is to it. But it is easier said than done. There aren't many rules in portrait lighting. Bright, dark, edgy. You'll even see artistic gels used to really color the light for some crazy effects. Cropping. A headshot should be cropped tightly, hence the name, headshot. Think head and shoulders up, if not even tighter. I made a whole video on cropping a headshot. Be sure to check that out. The idea is to maximize the space for your face. You don't have a whole lot of pixels to use in something like a LinkedIn profile, or even with a headshot on a business card. There's just not that much space to use. So you want to make sure that your face is taking up most of the area. Because again, you're not selling your clothing, your jewelry, it's all about you. That's also good if you're a little worried about imperfections, wrinkles, that sort of thing. Even though we take care of a lot of that stuff in retouching, remember that when your headshot's small or viewed small, people just aren't going to notice those things. They're not going to be able to see them. So don't let that stress you out. Portrait cropping, on the other hand, can be pretty extreme, especially for editorial or artistic purposes. One compositional note, though, you generally want to be looking into the frame when you crop an image. Going the other way around, in other words, if you're cropped so that you're looking out of the frame, that's going to give the image just kind of an unsettling feel. So if that's what you're going for, then that'll definitely add to it. If you have a person in the picture, try to crop them so that they're kind of looking into the frame as opposed to looking out of the frame. Posing. Even for a headshot, there's a lot of posing. Movements are precise. An inch or two in any direction makes a big difference in a headshot. Good posing can really hide or greatly reduce that double chin that we don't want to talk about. It'll bring your eyes closer to the camera, which gives you a more engaging presence. And you'll just generally look more welcoming and engaged as opposed to standoffish and aloof. Portrait posing, again, kind of all over the place. It's more complicated. You've got to worry about posing arms, hands, legs, all the limbs. Posing hands can be really tricky and really awkward if you're not comfortable and you don't have somebody really helping you with the posing. So keep that in mind. Good posing is definitely your friend. We generally like to say that if it feels weird, it's going to look good on camera. That's one of the areas that you really get your money's worth in hiring a professional photographer. We've got a lot of training and practice on posing people of all shapes and sizes. And believe me, that experience pays huge dividends on the final result. Asymmetry is another thing to keep in mind when posing for a portrait. You generally don't want to stand there with both hands locked to your sides. That's kind of the mugshot look, and it just makes you look uncomfortable. So you generally want to mix up, have one hand on the waist, maybe one even reaching across your shoulder. You could have one hand on a stool or a bench or, leaning over on something. It's just good to kind of mix up the hands so that they're not doing exactly the same thing. Even holding a simple prop like a coffee mug, or sometimes I have people hold their phones if they're maybe social media people or maybe a realtor, for example. It's a good natural look, gives your hand something to do. Where you're looking makes a big difference as well. You want to look at the camera for the best connection, but if you're modeling a product, then you generally want to be looking off camera. Background. Now this is one of my favorite topics. I think backgrounds are way overplayed in a headshot. The truth is, you really don't need much of a background going on. A headshot is so not about the background. If the background draws attention to itself and off you because you're the subject, it's too much, and you gotta go simpler. A simple background adds a ton of layout flexibility. We can easily add background in Photoshop to make yourself a social media banner or logo. There's just tons of flexibility in the backgrounds with a simple seamless studio backdrop. I use the seamless backgrounds all the time. I'll even just use my walls, my studio walls as backgrounds. They're perfect. And then sometimes for a little fancier look, I'll use a painted canvas, which is also just as easily extendable in Photoshop to make the background fit whatever space you need. When you start to incorporate organic elements or identifiable objects in the background, I think you start to cross into portrait territory. And that's okay. It can really add a lot to the overall feel and aesthetic of the image, but it can also quickly work against you. Distracting elements in any picture are often tough to spot in the moment, even for the photographer. But after the fact, they'll be so obvious that you'll drive yourself nuts every time you look at that image. For example, any area that's brighter than the face is going to immediately attract some attention from the viewer. And don't forget the dreaded mergers. Those are those trees sticking out of the back of your head in that snapshot, maybe a telephone pole or stop sign or something like that. Your photography teacher will fail you just for that. So keep an eye out for those. Expression. Expression is critical for your headshot. Your expression should be warm, inviting, and confident. Someone should look at that image and want to connect with you immediately, maybe even offer you a job. Who knows? And no surprise here, but portrait expressions can be all over the map. You might have a sad or somber look, or maybe angry or even silly. Portrait expressions can really be pushed to the extreme. And a great photographer will help you get those great expressions, no matter how extreme or refined you want to go. For my headshot clients, I always try to encourage a full range of expressions. I consider it extra credit when we go beyond the standard headshot look, and it turns out that these are often some of the best images from the session. Your friends and family will immediately connect with these images because they typically represent a more authentic you. So don't hesitate when your photographer asks you to make some silly faces. You never know what you might get. Who knows, you might even consider using some of those images for your actual headshot. Give it a thought. That's it. Now you're ready to have an intelligent conversation with your photographer about the specifics of your headshot or portrait session. Was there something I didn't answer about the difference between a portrait or a headshot? Let me know in the comments. I'd be curious. Keep watching for more headshot tips. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with a friend who's maybe in the market for a new image.